morning, everybody. Welcome back to Granny's Place. I just came from church. This was our first church service where we didn't have to wear our masks. Everyone was so happy. The singing was wonderful. It was just the greatest thing to finally get back to normal. And I wanted to read you a story today. This one is all about a penguin who goes to see the world. So a lot of us like to travel. A couple days ago we traveled to the state of Wisconsin, and I found a little store where they were selling things from China. And this is something that I found in the little store, and it's got a little frog on the vase, and this is a bamboo plant. And it only needs just a little bit of water. There's some stones in there. It doesn't require a lot of care, so I always like plants that take care of themselves real well. And this one will. I'll just have to water it once in a while, and the little leaves will sprout from the top. So I'll set that over here. That reminds me of both Wisconsin, where we used to live, and also the country of China. All right, we're going to read our story now. This one is called White Black the Penguin Sees the World. White Black the Penguin Sees the World by Margaret Ray. White Black the Penguin was worried. He was the chief storyteller on the station, on the radio station for all of Penguinland, and he had run out of stories. "I guess I'll take a vacation and travel," he said. "Travelers always have a lot of stories." His friends, Seal and Polar Bear, agreed. "But you will need a boat," said Seal. "You can't swim all the time. I'll give you half of an old sealskin. That will make a fine boat." "And I," said Polar Bear, "I will give you rope made from the hair of my last winter's fur. Ropes are always useful." "That's wonderful," said White Black. "Besides, I've always wanted a boat and a rope." So he began to build the boat. And with all the family helping, it was finished in no time. White Black was ready for his trip. Everybody waved farewell to him. "Come back with plenty of stories," barked Seal. "And bring us nice presents," said Polar Bear. "I promise," shouted White Black. "Goodbye." The boat moved away from the shore, and soon he was alone on the wide blue ocean. Hours went by and not much happened. Sometimes White Black swam pulling the boat behind him, and sometimes he sat in the boat using his flippers as paddles. "I thought traveling was more exciting," he said. Feeling bored, he fell asleep. Crack! He woke up to a heavy shock. His boat had hit an iceberg. It was sinking fast. "I hate to lose my boat," he said, "but at least this is a story for my radio show. Besides, I've always wanted to be in an accident." He untied the rope just as the boat went under. He then tied it around his middle and swam on. After a while, White Black saw smoke on the horizon. There was a cruiser streaming straight toward him. "I'll go on board and look at this ship," he said. When the cruiser was close enough, he lassoed a gun and climbed aboard. Everything aboard the cruiser was clean and shiny, and White Black was pleased. On deck was one of those famous human beings he had heard so much about. I've always wanted to see a man, but I thought he looked more unusual, White Black said. Why, he looks just like me. White shirt, dark coat, and he walks on two legs. Only he's got lovely bright buttons on his jacket. I'll go ask him to let me have a few for my Sunday suit. Just then, the officer and some sailors discovered the little penguin and started chasing him. He ran away as fast as he could and hid in the muzzle of a big gun. Oh, I hope I'm safe here, he thought. It's a nice, cool place for a long nap. The next morning, the sailors started practicing with the gun where White was sleeping. Boom! He went through the air like a thunderbolt, and miles away, he dived into the sea. Oh, this is a real story for my radio show, he said when he came up. Besides, I've always wanted to fly. He saw land in the distance, and he swam ashore. This must be a foreign country. He climbed up on the beach. I suppose it's full of stories for my radio show. Besides, I've always wanted to visit a foreign country. The place was quite different from Penguin Land. There was no snow or ice, but there were bright flowers and fresh green plants everywhere. The air was warm, a little too warm for White Black's taste. But look at the two big white balls lying there. They couldn't be snowballs, or could they? Perhaps footballs, he thought. Besides, I've always wanted to play football. He kicked one ball with his foot. Crick! The ball broke in two, and out came a baby ostrich. Thanks for letting me out of the egg, he squeaked. Won't you please get my brother out too? So White Black hit the second egg and another baby ostrich appeared. I've always wanted to see baby ostriches come out of their eggs, White Black said. It's a very rare experience and a fine story for my radio show. That moment, Father and Mother Ostrich arrived. What a pleasant surprise, they said. Won't you accept a little present? Mother Ostrich gave him a lovely mirror, and Father Ostrich produced a roller skate. Thanks, said White Black. Now I must go because I'm on a trip. I'm collecting stories for my radio show. Wait, said Father Ostrich. The desert is hard to travel for somebody with such short legs. Pardon me for saying so. I'll give you a letter of introduction to my friend, the camel. He'll let you ride on his back. White Black took the letter and walked into the desert. It was like the beach in Penguin Land, only much warmer. Soon he met the camel. The camel was very glad to have company, for the desert is such a lonely place. I provide the ferry service across the desert, the camel said, and I charge a small fee. But because of that letter, I will carry you for free. The camel knelt down and White Black climbed on its back. Another good story for my radio show, he said. Besides, I've always wanted to ride on a camel. At first, White Black liked the ride, But after a while, he had a funny feeling in his stomach. With every step, the camel's back moved up and down, and he felt he was going to be seasick. This would not make a good story for my radio show, he thought. And besides, I never wanted to be seasick. Penguins are not supposed to be seasick, ever. Finally, he could not stand it anymore. He asked the camel to please let him off. Now he had to walk through the desert for hours and hours on the hot sand. I wish I were home, he sighed. Besides, I've never wanted to be lost in a desert. I must get out of here somehow. Suddenly, he had an idea. He picked up a stick. With his rope he tied to the roller skate. It made a perfect scooter, and it had a rearview mirror. He rolled along smoothly all the way to the end of the desert. Now I've got enough stories for my radio show, he decided. I want to go home, but if I only knew which way to go. Why, there's a plane over there. Maybe there's somebody who can tell me how to get back to Penguin Land. And there was. An explorer was quite surprised to see the little penguin. I'm leaving tomorrow, he said, and I can give you a lift. The explorer made a little carrier for White Black. Can you see it on top of the airplane? And because no animals were allowed inside the plane, the carrier was fastened to the top. I've always wanted to ride on the top of an airplane, said White Black. Now I'm on my way home. The plane took off and flew over towns and rivers and fields and forests, and finally it reached the ocean. It's getting cooler, thought White Black. I can feel we're coming closer to Penguin Land. I must try to have a look. Besides, I've always wanted to have a look at Penguin Land from the air. He managed to open the door of his carrier and walked out to have a better view. He bent over and swoosh, down he went head first and splashed. He splashed into the sea. When he recovered from his fall, he looked around. He was curious. There were fish all right and left and everywhere. He'd never seen so many fish in his life. Suddenly, he and all the fish were lifted out of the water. He had fallen into a fishing net, and the net was being pulled in. Together with everyone else, White Black was dumped into the hold of a fishing boat. Not a bad place, he said to himself. Lots of fish, lots of ice, just the right temperature. Now I can make up for all the meals I've missed during my trip. So he had 10 breakfasts, 10 lunches, 10 dinners, and 10 suppers, all in one. And, of course, every course was fish. He was just ready for a nap when he heard a fisherman upstairs say, "Over there lies Penguin Land." Penguin Land? He was almost home, and yet he had no present for his friends. I must bring something, he said. What can I do? And then a wonderful idea came to him. At night, when everyone was asleep, he climbed on deck. He took one of the big nets that were hung up to dry, and he jumped into the sea. His idea worked. as he swam toward Penguin Land, dragging the net behind him. Fish were caught in it. Soon the net became quite heavy. I don't mind, he thought. I'm on my way home with stories to tell and a marvelous present. The morning came, and he could see the shores of Penguin Land far away. But the net was so heavy now that he hardly made any headway. I must get home with my present, he panted. I must. But his strength was almost gone. He would have to let the net go and come home empty-handed. He just had to give up. Tears were coming to his eyes. White Black! Hello, White Black! Shouted a happy voice. It was Seal, his good friend Seal, who came rushing through the waves to help him. I've been looking for you every day. I'm so glad you're back. What a marvelous present you brought. And he took the heavy load from White Black. Hooray! There was a big crowd on the beach to welcome him, their famous traveler. That same day they had an enormous party with mountains of fish for everyone. White Black had a special radio show, and he had to tell all his stories over and over again. And out of snow, his friends built a big monument and wrote on it, White Black, the hero of Penguin Land. And since in Penguin Land the snow never melts, the monument is still there. You might be able to go yourself and see it. The end. I hope you enjoyed it. White Black, the penguin who saw the world. Thanks for coming to Granny's Place. I'll be back soon with some more stories. You have a wonderful day or night. Bye-bye.